Hey guys, thanks for tuning in. I am the Gaming Enigma, and first let me say thank you guys for your patience. I have remade this video quite a few times, but I want to make sure to always deliver the most accurate and precise information from my knowledge as best as possible. So today's topic we'll be talking about will be reflections, and my take on it and my view and formula for which it would take to figure out what your reflections would be on a day-to-day basis. So if you want to know more and you like what you hear, guys, please stick around, click that sub button, and also click that bell notification so you'll never miss when I upload another video. So let's get straight into it. Well, firstly, again, reflections. What are reflections? Reflections are going to be the thing that's built in within the tokenomics that gives back to holders for holding. Now, just to let everyone know right off top, there are two different types of exchanges, DEX and CEX. DEX are going to be the decentralized exchanges like Uniswap and PancakeSwap, while the CEX, centralized exchanges, are going to be those like Big One, Bitmart, MEXC, things of that nature, the big ones, Binance and whatnot. And as of right now, we recently stopped getting staking rewards through Bitmart. So right now, none of the centralized exchanges are going to be offering any type of static rewards, be it staking or reflections, as of right now. And that could change in the future. But as of right now, the only thing that's going to be giving you passive income or reflections will be the decentralized exchanges, Uniswap and PancakeSwap, which you can hold those in wallets like Trust Wallet or Trust Wallet or MetaMask. And again, that's built in within the tokenomics, that 1% off of each transaction that's getting sent and redistributed back to every holder. So the question is, how do you figure this out? Well, here's a simple way to look at it. First, you need to put your actual amount of tokens you have, and you want to divide that by the total supply. Once you do that, you'll get a percentage of a certain amount, and that will determine your percentage of what the reflections will be. And we'll get to that in the future. So let's say in this example, you're a whale and you have 100 trillion tokens. Yes, 100 trillion, that's big. And you look at it and you see that the overall total supply is 10 quadrillion. So 100 trillion divided by 10 quadrillion is going to equal 1%. Your percentage of token supply at this point is going to be 1%. So after you hold on to that number, all right, remember it's 1%. Now the next thing you want to do is figure out what the trading volume is on a 24-hour. This is how you can determine how much you can make in static rewards or reflections daily. You're going to multiply that by 1%. Again, this is a different 1%. This is the 1% that's distributed out to all the holders. And again, amount to distribute to all holders according to percentage. So the number we get won't be distributed to just one person or to every single person at the same amount. It'll be all based on the percentage that you yourself hold in M content. So again, in this example, let's say we have $1 billion worth of trading volume within a 24-hour time period. We're not quite there yet, but it is extremely important to realize that this 1 billion trading volume is going to have to come through our decentralized exchanges. This will not be what's included within actual centralized exchanges, because the centralized exchanges are exchanging within themselves. So because of that, there's no inherent taxes that are going to be reflected back at us, the holders in the decentralized exchange. So that needs to be noted and needs to be understood. So then you'll multiply that by the 1%, and in this sense, you'll have $10 million, which will be redistributed out to all the holders according to the percentage. And again, let's go to the next phase. Now you're going to bring those two numbers together. Amount distributed to all holders, and then you want to multiply that by the percentage that you hold. And then that will be the amount of reflections you'll earn within a 24-hour time period. Now, of course, the reflections are automatic. So right now, this equation is going to be a rough draft, a rough estimate as far as what you should look forward to when it comes to getting those in a 24-hour time period. So let's say you were to take a snapshot at 12 o'clock in the morning, and then take a snapshot the next day at 12 o'clock in the morning. it should be a rough estimate as far as the amount once you figure out how much has been burned in that 24-hour time period. Now, in this case, like I said in this example, we have $10 million that's supposed to be distributed out to all the holders. Now, you're going to multiply that by the percentage you hold, which in this case, it's 1%. And then, of course, for that, that's $100,000 a day in reflections. Now, this is a big example, all right? So this is not going to be applied to everyone, because this is what I would consider to be a whale wallet. So if you have 100 trillion tokens, you can expect at least $100,000 a day if we were to hit that 1 billion market cap within this decentralized exchanges. For me, I do use moonscan.net to try and figure this information out. But there's also something else I want to note. But first, let me go through some things. Obviously, you can see the wallet holders is 16,619. This again is going to be pertaining to the wallet holders in the Binance Smart Chain network. And then also you can also look to see the Etherscan, which is for the Ethereum holders. That is going to be a different number. So our numbers are actually kind of here and there, depending on the exchanges, depending on the centralized and decentralized exchanges when it comes to the wallets. As you can see right here, touch the wallets. That means over 20,000, almost 21,000 people have had mContent in their wallet at one point, whether they got in or got out. It all depends. Of course, right here you see we have the total supply of 10 quadrillion, and then the total burnt is about 39.77%, which of course we normally round up to 40%. But what's going to be important for this next phase, because again, this equation is somewhat of a general idea of what you can guesstimate what your actual amount will be for reflections in a day. But right here, if you see on reflectionary supply, you'll see 9 quadrillion 791 trillion and it's showing you reflectionary supply because there are going to be some wallets that are going to be excluded outside of the actual total supply. So that's where it gets a little confusing to say that you can't actually come up with an accurate way to figure this out. Now you can use this as a baseline and say, okay, well, if we're going to use the reflectionary supply as a way to base our number off of, you can put this number right here. Again, 9 quadrillion 791 trillion 767 billion 917 million 712 . You can input this number into the equation, and then maybe you can find a better way or a more accurate count of what you'll make. But keep in mind, like I said, we can go down here. This is the mContent reflections. This is how many tokens has been burnt and are actually reflected throughout the month. They do have, for instance, right here, last 24 hours. It's 43.47 billion tokens that have been burnt or reflected, let me say, which equals to $603.50. And then, of course, this is the burn. This will how you can decide, okay, within a 24-hour time period, $245 has been burnt and sent to the burnt address. So again, it is slow moving right now, but we're going to touch on that a little bit later because it's going to speed up. I'm going to explain why. But let's go back over here real quick. So again, like I told you before, it seems like there's a wallet or two that might be out of the actual total supply, but those are because those are going to be the ones that are not implemented in the reflection aspect of the tokenomics. And with that being said, again, you're going to take the total amount of tokens you hold, like we said in the equation, over the total supply. But the thing is with that, you have to take the total supply and subtract the excluded wallets, which is why, again, let's go back. We'll see that the reflectionary supply is 9 quadrillion 791 trillion, and that's because of the excluded wallets being in place. And then once you figure that out, I have done some searching and I have looked, and it could possibly be the CCF wallet, along with a couple other wallets that are within that realm of excluded wallets. But please don't quote me on that. I've done a lot of searching over the past couple hours, and it is very hard to gauge exactly which ones those are. But a lot of different tokens have that same thing implemented into it, where certain wallets will be excluded, and that's basically to help us as holders, so that way the total supply will be lower, and that means the amount of reflections you get is bigger. So, like I said, with that, once you figure this out, and I guess, like I said, if you want to implement that number, you can dial it in, and then from there you can figure out what your reflections will be on the day today. and that I think is going to be extremely important. So again, guys, thank you so much for listening to that aspect and that portion of it. Now, as far as my talk and touching on the reflections being increased, in my personal opinion, I would prefer to keep mine within PancakeSwap or Uniswap because those are going to be actually gaining the active reflections. Now, why is this important, you might ask? Well, because the app is coming out. Once the app comes out, 50% of all content revenue that's made is going to be used for buying back the token, which will assist with the burn and assist with the reflections. So, as more content is consumed, as more content is uploaded, the burn is going to increase exponentially. Once that happens, it will be a little bit harder to figure out exactly what your reflections will be, as I do not know, and I'm not sure if they're going to release exactly what their formula is to base how much tokens you get based off the views. So as of right now, the formula will be basically only pertaining to PancakeSwap and Uniswap in those prospective decentralized exchanges. Again, I wanted to make sure to get this information out there to you as accurately as possible. I made some mistakes in the past videos. Some people called me out on it, and I appreciate you guys, community, always keeping me on my toes. So I appreciate that. But again, once the app comes out, that equation will give you a general rough idea of how much you'll make. It won't give you an accurate amount. So that is very important to keep in mind. Also, again, unfortunately, Bitmart, Big One, MX, any other exchanges we end up getting on or already are a part of right now will not honor any static rewards at all. No reflections and no staking. And that's just because, again, the mContent team wanted to make sure that all exchanges were on the same playing field and neither one had a higher advantage over the other when it came to what it was that you actually held. I mean, which exchange you chose. I apologize. So again, decentralized exchange for me would be the way to go. Centralized exchanges would be more for day traders, people who want to trade in and out throughout the day. But if you're a holder and you want to receive that passive income, I understand you figure out that equation, you can give a quick rough draft of how much you'll actually make through reflections passively. And I think I'd rather hold something in where I'm going to make money versus it just sitting there. Of course, again, that is just me. Also, something to note with that 10% transactional tax that happens on the buys and sells, it is also important to also realize this. The 10% transaction that you end up using at the end to sell or buy could possibly be made back through reflections. Of course, so in this sense, you have to really take it into perspective and use your own, thought process and figure out yourself, do you think being on a decentralized exchange or centralized exchange is going to be better for you? Transferring out of Bitmart, you do have a 100 million token fee, which really equates about between $2 to $3, maybe $5 or something, depending on how the price fluctuates. But that is very minuscule when it comes to the long run of what you could make off of reflections. So again, guys, it's all going to be determined on what you yourself decide. So real quick, just to go over it one more time, token total over total supply will equal your percentage. Once you have that percentage, you're going to figure out your trading volume on the 24-hour times 1%, which would be the 1% that's distributed out within the tokenomics to all the holders. After that, amount distributed to all holders, you're going to multiply that by the percentage you hold, and then that should give you a rough amount of the reflections you'll earn. And again, like I said, if you want to look at it and be a little more precise, I use Moonswap. Once again, use this reflectionary supply right here. Also, I will supply the Moonscan address within the description below, so just click on it and you'll be able to keep track of it yourself as well. And this again right here, you can plug that number in and then again put your amount of tokens over that and divide, and then you can figure out a more accurate total when it comes to the amount that you actually are going to gain on a daily, depending on the 24-hour time period of trading. So again, guys, that's been a little spiel for me. I appreciate you guys once again. If you see something else in this video that is you feel is mistaken or misinformation, please call me out on it. I appreciate you guys for it. And again, thanks for tuning in. Click that sub, click that bell notification. Enigma.